James Lewis here with our weekly video. I hope you've had some time to relax over summer. It's been a bit of a crazy time, but I hope you've had some time to rest and relax. Joining me for the weekly video is Cam Watt from our 430 congregation. Cam, how's your summer been with you and your family?
It's been just such a total mixed bag. It was great. We started by going on a holiday for a week up the far north coast, which was excellent. We came back on the same weekend as the Thanksgiving Sunday, and then my wife's family from Melbourne had all come up, and Rach was here doing the Thanksgiving service, and so we really only just had got to see them, and then all of a sudden they had to race back to Melbourne
to beat the lockdown
before midnight to beat the lockdown, and even as it was, they had to spend a couple of days in isolation while they got results back of COVID tests. And
it's a long way to come.
A long way to come for
12 hours.
For a very little amount of time.
But if we're having a dig at Melbourneites, we'd say it's worth it just to experience a little bit of Sydney.
To be in Sydney, who wouldn't want to be in the Hills District?
That's right, even for 12 hours.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Now, Cam, you're joining me today because you're preaching this Sunday in the second week in our summer series, which we've called Uncomfortable, because we're wrestling with how our culture offers us comfort in different ways, and we think we can find comfort in different ways, but actually Jesus offers us this lasting and richer comfort. What are you excited to be sharing with us from God's Word for this Sunday?
Well, it's actually a really challenging Bible verse verses that I'm looking at in Mark chapter 8, and it says, Jesus calls to everyone and says, if you want to come after me, deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me.
Which doesn't sound very comfortable.
No, it at first reading it doesn't sound very comfortable at all, and in honesty, there are some uncomfortable parts about that which I've felt this week as I've looked at the verse. But ultimately, it gives this great comfort of moving our life from a selfish life to a selfless life, and giving our life a far greater purpose than the 70 or 80 trips around the sun that we do here.
Yeah. So if you're desperate for some encouragement and comfort, this is a passage. If you're unconvinced by what Cam said, then this Sunday he's going to make the case from God's Word. We're going to wrestle with that together. So looking forward to that. Now, things have changed a lot with this COVID stuff. You shared it kind of messed up your Christmas. How's your family going with all this as well? What's the general mood?
It's been a really weird sort of time, I think, in Sydney, because we were looking forward to Christmas and everything seemed to be going so well. There was no cases, and then there was an outbreak, and we went from like getting back to normal life to back to lockdown and wearing face masks and all of those things, and so it made Christmas really unusual, because Christmas then became really quiet at our house compared to normal. New Year's became very quiet compared to normal, and even now, like, we can't even have all of our Sydney family at our house at one time.
I know. So I've been just come back from holidays on Monday, and while I was away, there were kind of these noises starting, and I'm thinking, oh great, so when I come back, we've got to rethink church again. What is mass and 100 people in the room and all that sort of. That's been quite destabilizing again. I think,
Absolutely.
But it does, I think, sometimes, as we noticed earlier in last year, that it kind of causes us to pause and reflect, because everything's kind of out of sync.
I think that what we tended to do when it first hit, we got all nervous, but then it actually made a great case for us realizing what's really important in our life, and like for the devout believer, like our reliance on going back to God, back to His Word, and having a look at it, and realizing what parts of life aren't that, even though we've got them available, aren't that important.
Yeah. I was thinking about it just as I've kind of been getting my head around it, and I spent a bit of time in 1 Peter last year, and I was remembering how Peter, to a bunch of Christians whose lives are very difficult, heavily persecuted and scattered. And he quotes in end of chapter 1 from Isaiah 40, there's lovely words. It says, all people are like grass, and all their glory is like the flowers of the field. The grass withers and the flowers fall, but the word of the Lord endures forever. And this is the word that was preached to you. I just love that reminder that we are so fragile. That's reality.
Yeah.
We're pretending if
Yeah.
we're not, and yet God is constant and steadfast,
Absolutely.
and He doesn't change. So I'm looking forward to Sunday, because whether we're kind of going okay or struggling, whether we're here on site or whether we're in online, we're going to be encouraged and reminded and strengthened and fed from God's word, which is what we ultimately need. So God bless you as you prepare for the sermon.
you.
Looking
Thank
forward
you.
to it,
Yeah.
and we'll see you guys on site or online this Sunday.